Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the most, Miss J, aka Simone Jackson, here to bring you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. For those, of course, you guys know the J Lounge is a celebrity-based podcast show where we talk with celebrities about various topics and discussions. I'm very excited for my next guest for today. This is a huge honor for me. She is a filmmaker and she's the winner of the New York Women in Film Television Revenue Foundation featured film grant. And she is here to talk about that experience as well as her filmmaking. But everyone, please give a very warm welcome to Miss Sarah Knight. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, good
How are
morning.
you?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. I appreciate you being on our show today. I am super excited to be speaking with you. This is just a huge honor for me.
Thank you, me as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to start off with the first question for you, Miss Sarah. I want to know, what began your passion for filmmaking?
It really came from my family. I grew up in Nebraska, and my family, everybody in my family, starting with my grandparents on down, were just so passionate about movies. None of them are filmmakers themselves, but I just grew up watching, especially a lot of the old movies on TV, and my parents went to the theater all the time. And of course, my grandparents in that era of World War II, that was just the era where they went to movies all the time. So I think I got the bug from them.
Oh wow, that's actually incredible. I'm not a filmmaker myself, but I am super passionate about movies, so I can definitely relate to that.
Yes.
Yes, especially my old class, especially the old-fashioned movies. One of my favorite old classic films is Casablanca. So
Oh, yeah.
yes, so I can get with that on you there. Um, Going on to the number two question, who do you look up to filmmaking wise and why?
Well, going back to that old movies, I love so many of the old filmmakers, and I tend to love filmmakers who, in my mind, really let the story that they're telling take the lead in terms of style, not so much of the auteurs that we revere today. I mean, I love filmmakers like Billy Wilder, who made
Yes.
everything from Sunset Boulevard to The Apartment. Sabrina, there were so many beautiful films that he wrote and directed, and then into the 70s, like Sidney Lumet, if you're familiar with his work, which ran from 12 Angry Men to Network to Dog Day Afternoon. He did so many of those films. And I think some of those filmmakers, Alan Pakula is another one who made Clute and Starting Over and The Parallax View and All the President's Men and so many of these beautiful films. I think often filmmakers like that, many people don't know their names because they kind of disappeared behind their films. Not completely, because they were very stylized, beautiful films, but I think they're not necessarily name recognition like some of the auteurs are now. But those are the filmmakers in my dream that I would like to emulate.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to agree with that. I didn't really know who directed, all the President's Men and Clute, so that's good to know.
Oh, Alan Pakula, you have to check out his work because he had a string. It was Starting Over, The Parallax View, Clute, Comes a Horseman, which is a Western, All the President's Men. There were a string of like 5 films right in a row. He also did Sophie's Choice. And he
No
worked in
way.
every genre, and he just nailed it. I mean, Starting Over in particular, that was James Brooks's first feature writing job. And I really recommend Alan Pakula checking out his body of work because it's pretty spectacular. And like I said, has a very specific style, but it never overwhelms the stories.
Oh, I will definitely have to. Sophie's Choice is one of my favorites, so I will
Yeah.
definitely learn more about his work and his name because yeah, that is one of my top favorite movies is Sophie's Choice. So
Well, and that was starting that run. It was Sophie's Choice and Frankie for the next 6 years. Just every single film he made was just spectacular.
I'm gonna have to keep that in mind, and I'm gonna have to take your word, and I'm gonna have to go and research his name and more of his films. I'm definitely gonna do that for sure.
And then I want reviews. I expect reviews back.
Absolutely. Challenge accepted, Miss Sarah. Challenge accepted. Going on to the number 3 question, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning, you are a New York Women in Film and Television Grant winner. Could you tell us, what was your reaction when you found out that you were a winner?
I was really thrilled. I had been familiar with some of the titles that had won that award in the past. two of which were just released, actually, so you can watch them. One is called A Call to Spy, which was about some of the unknown women that fought as spies, as fought part of the resistance in World War
Ooh,
II, which is an excellent
okay.
film. That's now available for streaming. And the other film that they just brought out this year is called Yellow Rose, which was distributed theatrically. I think streaming is going to be coming up shortly, but it's about a young Filipino-American teen who lives in Texas, who is following her passion of country music. So check both of those
Ooh.
out. So I was really happy to be part of that group. And as I had mentioned to Cynthia Lopez, who's the executive director of NIWIF, when I got that call, you need those calls because making films is such a long, torturous process, and there's so much rejection. And as I had said
Mm-hmm.
to her, sometimes it's easy to lose sight of the value of your own project. Sometimes you've been working
Mm-hmm.
on these things for so long, you need those calls that say, oh yeah, I know this is good. Okay. So it really re-energized me and helped me move on to the next step.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm really glad that you mentioned that because, for filmmakers, especially, inspiring filmmakers, they definitely should know that, making films, yes, it's a dream come true, but it's tedious. It's a long process. And as you mentioned before, there's a lot of rejection. So sometimes
Yeah,
you
you
lose
just have to
sight.
keep asking until you get a yes. But it really, I think some of it just does become a slog and you have to keep moving forward. And I found this on many projects. There are many projects that I haven't gotten made yet still that I've been working on for, even over 10 years. And you'll find those moments where you'll look at it anew again and say, oh yes, this is why I fell in love with this material and this is why I want to fight for this.
Yes, I actually can relate to that with my podcast when I first started. I was getting a lot of
Sure.
rejections for the podcast, and I was like, oh my goodness, I think I'm losing sight. But then I got some of the yeses, and then I got re-energized with some of the interviews that I done. And I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly why I'm doing this. This is why I love doing this.
Yeah, and I
So
think Cynthia said her view on it, which is a very good one. The second you get a rejection, just say, okay, I accept it and put it out of your mind and move on and just try to just not even
yes,
think about it.
I completely and totally agree. Yes, don't dwell on it. Don't overthink about it. Just say okay, reject it, and then move on.
Right.
There's more.
Because the
There's
truth is also some of those rejections can be yeses later on. It depends
yeah.
on the situation, but sometimes it just wasn't the right time. They weren't what you were looking for at the moment, but just keep coming back. I mean, there have been many times. I believe we might have even applied for the Ravenel grant a couple of years ago. We didn't have as much together with it we did this year. So that might have been one that we applied a couple of times. So definitely keep going back to some of those things.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with that. Absolutely. Going on to the number 4 question, Miss Sarah. As a filmmaker, what type of stories are you looking to tell?
I tend to be drawn to character-driven material, really dialogue-driven. I know that film is more considered dialogue-driven is more considered the medium of theater, but I love dialogue-driven films. You'll see that a lot of in old movies as well. I don't have a real passion for superhero movies or many genre films. I would say I don't think I would be very great at them. So dramas and comedies, character pieces. And I would say that generally looking at my work, although I don't think I began consciously saying this, I am drawn to telling women's stories more and more. I mean, there are certainly male characters in all of my films and they're important characters as well. But I really, when I look at all of my work coming up and the work that I've done, I really am interested in telling women of all ages, all colors, all walks of life. But I think I have really gravitated toward that as I've moved through the work I've done.
Yes, and I love it. I love it. I feel I love the fact that we're seeing more and more character studies films about women, and kind of getting into the complex layers that women have. And
It
I
is really a change, and it's unfortunate because when you look back at, let's say, the movies of the 40s and 50s, and then maybe even 60s and 70s, there were so many, just concentrating on film, female-driven films, and then we kind of reverted there a little bit. Not so much in the 80s because you had the broadcast news and films like that, but the
right,
last 20 years, we've kind of gotten away from that, so it's good that we're moving back in that direction, and also now being even more open to different kinds of women, different colors, trans, all different layers of women that we haven't been able to see in the past.
right, yes, and that's a beautiful thing that's coming up too. Absolutely. And I definitely have to agree with your earlier statement about being not being a big fan of superhero movies. I have to agree with that. I've had my fill of superhero movies for like the rest of my life. Like I was just telling my friends, let's make a supervillain movie. I'm over superheroes. I don't want to see any more superheroes. Let's just make
Well, and
supervillains.
I just hope that when, I mean, because that's the thing, in this time of quarantine that I think I miss most is just going and sitting in a movie theater. But let's just hope that that they reopen so we can go to movie theaters,
Amen.
and that not the only thing available are the tentpole films, because that is something that's unfortunate. Like I had referenced, my parents used to go to the movies all the time. They went to movie theaters constantly up until maybe 10 years ago, but there's just less and less, especially from Lincoln, Nebraska, and some of the smaller places. You don't get those beautiful art films and those character films so much on the big screen, and that's really unfortunate. So I hope that we're going to still be able to go to movie theaters and see some of the movies that you and I would love on the big screen.
Totally agree. Yes. I actually happen to agree with that. Yeah, over the past maybe 10, 15 years, it's been superhero dominant. And I understand that's, money making, but, we need to get back into the art of telling, smaller stories and not forget about, people, get lost up in the, superheroes and the CGIs and all of that, kind of just scale it back and kind of get back to more of these character driven films. So
Yeah, well, and I hear people say a lot, oh, I don't need to see that on the big screen. The thing I need to see on the big screen is Wonder Woman. It's like, go see Wonder Woman, that's great. But there's also a great value to seeing the smaller stories on the big screen,
yes,
because there's so much
absolutely.
communicated that you're missing when you've got your phone in your hand, or you're at home, or it's on a smaller screen. And I have a large, everybody has a large television now, and that's fine, but it's not the same where you're just enveloped and there with other people sharing an experience on a big screen. So see all kinds of movies on the big screen, not just the big ones.
Amen. Yes. Can we put that on a plaque somewhere and put that on all of the movie theaters, please? Because it's just, yeah, sometimes I'm in a mood for just a really good character film. So sometimes I don't want to see the superhero movies, and I feel like we've just been overstuffed the past 15 years. I feel like, hasn't every single superhero story been told already? Like, why are we going back? It's just, yeah, it is.
Well, I think this is an optimist point of view, but and when you see it in the downtime during COVID, everybody said, oh, well, no one's going to go. No one wants to go. Now they can just watch everything on the small screen in their home. But I don't know. I think there might be a backlash to that, because you saw some people that, for example, there were drive-in movies, and they were showing everybody went to see Jaws or Grease or whatever they were showing, which showed that I think people do still want that collective experience, because they knew those movies. They've seen those movies. They could watch those movies at home, but we want to go. So hopefully I'm hoping there might just be a little boomerang effect and send it back in the other way, that more people actually, because we've been stuck in our homes all this time,
I agree.
want it.
No, I totally agree with that. There is an experience watching movies in the theater that you just really can't get anywhere else. You're getting lost into the story, and and you're just having a good time watching the film. I watched the final Harry Potter in the theaters, and everybody in the theaters we were just like gasping and laughing and cheering on all together. So there's definitely experiences from the movie theater that you definitely can't replace. And I agree with you. I really hope we get back to that soon, because some of my best memories that I have is at the theaters, and watching a good film and enjoying it with everybody else. So I
Yes.
definitely hope that we get back to it soon. Ooh, for sure. Going on to the number 5 question, Miss Sarah, I want to make sure my audience follows you and your work. Where are you on social media?
I'm afraid I am not on any social media, but 3 of my films are available for streaming. So I'll tell you what those are. One is
Yeah.
my narrative feature, which is called Vino Veritas. It is available on Amazon Prime, Roku, YouTube, iTunes, some others, but certainly Amazon Prime. And that is a film I shot in my hometown of Lincoln, Nebraska in 2 weeks. And it stars Carrie Preston from Claws and The Good Fight, and Bernard White and some other people. And
Oh.
it is based on a play that David McGregor wrote, who also wrote the screenplay. And it is about two suburban couples, next door neighbors and best friends. And one has just come back from Peru with some tribal truth serum. And it's Halloween night and they're getting together for their annual gathering and they drink this truth serum and talk to each other. That's what that film is. And then two of my documentaries are available on Canopy. One is called Hot Flash, which follows the story of Sapphire, the Uppity Blues Women, which is an incredible multiracial group of women that you would really love, and they're very bawdy, and it talks about their life and why they do the work that they do. And also the other one is Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, which is a portrait of Nicole Sherry, who is the groundskeeper for the Baltimore Orioles and one of only two women who have ever held that position in Major League Baseball.
Wow, really?
Yep, she's an incredible, all those women are pretty fantastic, yes.
Looks like tonight's gonna be a movie night at my house, because I might have to check all of those three out, which is fine with me. It looks like it's gonna be movie night at my house. Okay, I know what I'm watching today, for sure. I love, I may not be the biggest sports fans, but I like watching the unsung heroes of sports, if that makes sense. You know, the ones that we don't know about. So
yeah, definitely. I was on a tour with my parents of Camden Yards years ago, and the tour guide had pointed out that Nicole, and she was down there working, so I introduced myself when we got down onto the field. And it was incredible following her around because I had no idea the physicality that goes into that job. I mean, that is just, when we went to shoot her work, which was a couple of days, at the end of the day, we were exhausted and we weren't working. We were just following her around. I mean, it is just, 18-hour or longer days, the heat, moving things around. It's just an incredibly physical job. And I think you'll enjoy, especially sports fans too, but just in general, just seeing all the intricacies that go into creating that beautiful field we see on TV and we just kind of take for granted.
Right. I have to, yeah, we kind of just don't think about it. We just see the beautiful diamond and we just think, oh, I'm pretty sure that didn't take them that long or didn't take that much hard work to do. But when you actually see the behind the scenes and you actually see the physicality of it, you're just like, oh my goodness, this is a lot harder than I thought.
Well, and she's been in that job for many, many years and continues to be. And man, my hat is off to her because, like I said, physically, that is quite a job. And then we did a little coda to the film. She got married and had a baby, and she was working up until like 8.5 months pregnant. So we were able to go down and shoot her walking around the field, just doing the job right up until she gave birth. So that was fantastic.
Well, that just really shows you the strength of women. We are badass. What can I say? This is what we do. This is exactly what we do. So
yeah.
Going on to the number 6 question, Ms. Sarah, what other future projects are you involved with that you can just give a tiny little dish about to the J Lounge audience?
Sure. Well, in a perfect world, we hope to shoot in the Land of Fire and Ice, which is the one that won the grant in the fall of 2021. That will be dependent on many things, including COVID shooting and how that goes, but that would be ideal. And then the other piece that I'm working on right now is a gender reversal of an Oscar Wilde play. The Oscar Wilde play is An Ideal Husband, and my version is An Ideal Wife. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the play, but the original play is about a congressman, or actually it's set in the UK. It's a politician who's known for his upright morals and always doing the right thing, and he ends up being blackmailed for a misdeed in his past, and how is he going to deal with that? So for my film version, I've titled it An Ideal Wife and made it a female congresswoman in DC and set it in 1945 Washington, DC. And it was specifically because I think the Oscar Wilde dialogue goes with that era that we were talking about, those great 40s films. But I love those films and the style, the black and white and the fast talking and everything they do in those films, that I always wanted to make one of my own. So this is kind of hopefully going to be my own version of Gilda or Laura or those beautiful 1940s films with Oscar Wilde's words.
I am excited. I'm hooked. I love Oscar Wilde. I am very familiar with that play, and so I am excited to see it come into fruition for you. I'm excited to see your version of it. It sounds really good. I'm with you. I love black and white films. I love that fast talk. There's just something about it that just, screams classic, Hollywood when before we had all the, CGI and all that kind of stuff. So
Oh yes. Yeah,
I'm
and
excited.
the women in those films. I mean, the
Yes,
Rosalind Russells and the Jean Tierneys, and they're just so fantastic.
yes. Oh, I am excited. You have got to keep me posted on that film because I would love to see it as soon as it's complete. Because I'm, like I said, a huge Oscar Wilde fan, and the way you described your film, I'm hooked. I want to see the beginning, the middle, the end. I need to know. So I'm already hooked.
Thank you. Now, so so you like An Ideal Husband? Because that's it's kind of one of his, it wasn't considered one of his better plays, but then Peter Hall did a pretty famous production maybe 20 years ago, which I was lucky enough to see on Broadway.
Yeah.
And that was my first Oscar Wilde. I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And so I think that's why I was able to see the greatness in that play, is because I saw that production.
Yeah, I like, yes, I am very familiar with The Ideal Husband. I really like, for Oscar Wilde, I like some of his, I like more of his work that's not considered his best work because it's
Right.
mostly not as known, and I can appreciate it. It's like I can appreciate, where he was going and everything. So yeah, I'm definitely excited. I cannot wait, and I definitely have to ask. Please keep me posted because as soon as that movie is complete, I want to see it for
I,
sure.
I will.
Oh, great. Going on to the number 7 question, Ms. Sarah. What goals do you hope to achieve in your filmmaking career?
I think, as we've discussed, film is such a difficult medium because of the cost
Mm-hmm.
and because of the time it takes. You're just lucky to get them made when you can. So as a filmmaker, I just want to get as many as I can get made, in the time I have on the planet. So it's, you get very, very few chances, and that's even if you were a white male. I mean, even if you were in the tier where you're going to be getting opportunities, you still get very, very few opportunities to shoot. So as many as I can get done, I think that's what I'd like to do.
Oh, that is amazing, honestly. And you have, I see yourself having a really great filmmaking career. So you definitely got the vision and you got the stories. So I see that happen for you, no problem. No problem.
Thank you. Here's hoping.
Of course. All right, we just got a few more questions for you, Miss Sarah. Going on to number 8. What passions do you have outside of your filmmaking?
I really love music, all kinds of music. It's been a little strange because living in New York, I mainly listen to music when I'm walking. And because of COVID, I haven't been walking as much, so I haven't been downloading as much new music or listening to it. But I love music. I love hiking. I haven't been doing much of that. I've been pretty much sticking to the East River Promenade during this time. I love traveling, but also that's been put on hold. And so, as with many of us, I think our passions are kind of on hold until we can open back up again. I really do miss sitting in a movie theater, and also I love theater. So going to see a
Yes.
play, any of those things, I'll be excited for everybody to be vaccinated so we can be back up and running.
Yes, and that is also a goal. Hopefully, if we ever get back to being normal, I would love to see a play up close and personal.
Oh, I know.
I've never seen a play in person, and I have been dying to,
Oh,
absolutely dying
really?
to.
You're in for such a treat. It's just, especially if it's one with live music. I also love concerts. I miss just hearing that live music, the energy. It's
Yes, I completely agree. I definitely completely agree.
mm.
But yes, it's definitely a goal of mine to go see a play up and close, just any play, just any classic play. Just I've just never seen it, but I've always heard people always have a great time, the music and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that is something I want to do. Hopefully, COVID will allow us in 21 to be able to do that.
And are you based in LA, Simone?
I'm actually based in Seattle,
Oh,
so
okay. Well, they have a
yeah,
great rep company there. They have a wonderful
yes,
theater in Seattle,
they
which I haven't been able to see myself. I would love to.
Yes, we do. We do. And as soon, like I said, as soon as hopefully the world can, start healing from COVID and we can start opening back up more, hopefully that will be one of the things that opens back up because I don't want the plays to go anywhere because I haven't seen one yet. So I definitely want to see them
Okay.
for sure. Ah, all right. Just 2 more questions for you, Miss Sarah. Going on to the number 9. If you had a chance to collaborate with any actor of your choosing, who would you choose and why?
There are so many. The one that is foremost in my mind right now because he's on a show is Ken Leung, who is on Industry, HBO's Industry right now. He was
Yes.
also, you'd know him from other things. He was on Lost and The Good Wife and some other things. I don't know if you're watching Industry, but he is spectacular in it. He plays Eric, Harper Stern's boss, who's very enigmatic, and it's such a spectacular role for him. He's wonderful, and I think his performance in particular, you just don't know. You think, boy, that guy's really awful. No, actually, maybe he's a good guy. No, he's really awful. And I think it's a fascinating character, and I think that comes down to him. And I think he's been doing great work for a long time, but I think there's even more to him that we haven't seen. So I would love to work with him.
Oh, that's amazing. And I have not checked out Industry yet, but I definitely will. I've been hearing nothing but great things about it. I've been hearing nothing but praises from the actors. So that's something I will definitely check out because I've definitely been hearing a lot of buzz about it. And it's all been pretty positive. So I'll definitely have to check it out.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear what you think. I mean, the show, it's an interesting show. I particularly love the segment about the business when they're in Pure Point, which is the company, and doing all they're doing. I think that's really fascinating, and the cast is spectacular. And I'll be particularly interested to hear what you think of Harper Stern, who is really kind of the de facto lead character, because she's very unusual, and you don't quite know what to make of her. So I'll be curious to get your reaction to that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'd be more than happy to share. I will definitely have to make within the next few days, make a little video. I'll definitely send it to you about reviewing industries. So yeah, I can definitely do that. I think
I love it.
yes, I definitely will do that. And I'll send you a copy. All right, going on to the number 10 and final question for you, Miss Sarah. What's been some of the most rewarding experience you've had in your filmmaking career so far?
Certainly meeting all of the female subjects about which I've gotten to make films, a couple of which I've mentioned, like Nicole Sherry at the Baseball Diamond there, the women of the incredible women of the band Sapphire. And then for Fire and Ice, which is the Ravenel film, I went to the Middle East to interview female CEOs in Kuwait and the Emirates to come up with the material for that character. And they were just incredible. It's so inspiring. It's such a treat to get to meet all of these different women who are experts in their fields and disparate industries. And it's just really inspiring to see these women from all over the world and doing their thing. And yeah, that is really incredible.
Ah, all that sounds amazing, and I'm glad you were able to, meet these women and be able to, gain their and follow their stories because it's incredible. Like I said, I'm not maybe not the biggest fan of baseball, but I like to hear about the unsung heroes of baseball, whether they're off and off the field. So, um,
Yes.
yeah, so I definitely got you on that one for sure. Just be able to meet, the women that, you're making stories about and just be able to, see what they do in their day to day. So that's amazing. It
Yeah,
really
you kind
is.
of get to parachute into other people's lives,
Yeah,
experience them, and then you're not doing that yourself, of course, but you get to kind of imagine it. That's nice.
exactly. Exactly. Miss Sarah, you have been an absolute delight to be talking to. I really enjoyed our interview. Like I said, I am definitely going to check out more of your films. You definitely have a clear direction. Your stories, like I said, I'm interested in about character driven films, especially about women. There's not a lot of films about women that are characters study driven films. So I appreciate you for creating more films like that, and I appreciate you speaking with me today.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been great talking to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, I highly encourage my audience, make sure you go and support any film that Miss Sarah Knight has, and make sure you guys stay up to date on her new films and new projects that she'll be coming out with. And just make sure you guys keep up to date with just Miss Sarah. She's definitely going to be a filmmaker you definitely want to keep an eye out on and check out on periodically because she's going to continue to make beautiful films, and we definitely want to make sure we give her our support. So But I definitely want to thank everyone for listening into this interview today. I definitely want to thank Miss Sarah one more time for joining in. Of course, you guys know
Thank
I've
you.
been your hostess with the mostest. Sorry, Miss Sarah, you were saying?
Oh, I just said thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're good. No, you're good. I appreciate you being on here. I appreciate speaking with you. And of course, you guys know I will be back with another wonderful episode here soon of the J Lounge. But until then, I just want to wish everyone a good morning. Have a good rest of your day. And I'll be back soon. Bye.